Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the City Council Business Meeting for Wednesday, February 9, 2022. Let's stand for the pledge of the flag.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
of
of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty,
and justice for
Justice.
all.
for all.
Thank you. That would have been it.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, could you do a roll call for us?
I believe Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Present?
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman, Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
Present.
Strawn.
Present.
6 here, 1 absent, Scaringi.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Resnetti, would you do the approval minutes for us this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 19th, 2020 business meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. We have 2 public hearings tonight on our agenda. The first one is the City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 21-161, a resolution authorizing a grant application to the New York State Office of Community Renewal, Community Development Block Grant, COVID-19 Response Program. Mr. Clerk, will you tell everyone how they can participate in this public hearing, please?
Yes, and just a heads up, we did not receive any written communications for public hearings or the public comment tonight. But yes, if you're a member of the public and you would like to participate in through Zoom, please click the raised hand button and leave it raised, and we will call on you one by one, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. And please state your full name and address for the record. And Mr. President, we'll wait a minute to see if anyone raises their hand.
Okay, thank you. I think on this end, I can look at that too, so thank you.
And the hands raised for this hearing here.
Okay, let's give it another 30-45 seconds, then we will move to the second public hearing.
So we do have one person with their hand raised. This is to participate in the public hearing. Community renewal, community development Response program. So at this time, we'll allow Tina Chronopoulos to speak. You have 5 minutes. Please state your full name and address for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tina Chronopoulos. I live at Laurel Avenue in Binghamton. Just quick question. The line was a little disturbed just there for me. And also I popped in late to the meeting. I had trouble getting online. There seems to have been a problem with the link. So I actually missed, is this a public hearing for both of the motion, like both of the legislative pieces, or are you doing one legislative piece after the other?
Yes, we're doing
Just
one.
that's just for the first one.
So I'm so
And
sorry.
then, no, then you didn't miss, and the second one will be after this. So this is the first one.
This is RL 21261, a resolution, nya.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm going to pop off for that. So sorry for the nya.
No.
And then I'll speak for the next one. Okay.
That's not a problem. Thank you. Okay, do we have anybody? I don't see anybody else here, Clerk. Mr. Clerk, do you see anybody else?
No, no other hands raised.
Okay, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on Article 21-261.
So
Motion to
moved.
close. Second.
Okay. We will now have a public hearing on the City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 2222 entitled 2022 Bond Ordinance in an amount not to exceed $1,600,000 to finance various capital improvements. Mr. Clerk, once again, just to be safe, let's tell everybody how they can participate in this public.
Yes, so if you'd like to participate in this public hearing via Zoom, please click the raised hand button and leave it raised. We'll allow you to speak one by one. Please state your full name and if you live or work in the City of Binghamton. Thank you. As of right now, there's no hands raised for the second public hearing here. Okay, we have one hand raised and it's Tina Chronopoulos. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Hello, I will bite. I was trying to scroll through the paperwork, so that's why I didn't raise my hand sooner. In any case, my name is Tina Chronopoulos. I live on Laurel Avenue in Sophia Resnitis district. And as always, when it comes to spending large amounts of money that will ultimately be paid for by taxpayers, I feel compelled to just let me know that to let you know, not me know, that I guess I sort of have my eyes on the numbers and what's going on. So I recognize that some of the proposed works have been in the pipeline, or it seems that they've been in the pipeline for a while. And at the same time, I also seem to have come across one or two items that that were supposed to have been funded also by ARPA money, most notably, I guess, the City Hall roof. So I guess I'm just sort of curious as somebody who's trying to participate in local government to the extent that it is possible. Do you know what the what do you call it? What the percentages are? How does this compare against other bonds that the city already holds? What is the city's current bond status in the big picture? How solvent are we? How urgent are some of these works? And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If anyone else would like to speak on this public hearing regarding the 2022 bond ordinance, please click the raise hand button and leave it raised.
And Lee, you said we didn't have any correspondence on either one of these, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking at that too. I don't see anybody. I will, oh, somebody just called in. Let's give them a second to see if they want to jump on.
So there's no hand raise feature if you're calling in. So at this time, we'll allow the person who called in using a dial phone to speak. The 22 bond ordinance. Please state your full name and if you live in the city of Binghamton.
Caller appears muted. Mr. Clerk, can you unmute him or no?
There's an S2 button. There's a chance that they don't wish to speak.
Just as an FYI, we can mostly hear you in the microphone, but once in a while it'll cut out for a few seconds. So the first part of what you just said, Mr. Clerk, got cut off.
Okay, so it looks like the caller is unmuted. If they would like to speak, you have 5 minutes.
I would not like to speak. I'm just listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know. We appreciate it. Okay, I don't see anybody else. I will take a motion to close the public hearing on the 2222 bond ordinance.
I move that we
moved.
close the hearing.
What's that?
I said I make a motion that we close
Okay.
the hearing.
Thank you. Give me a
Second.
second. Okay,
And that just needs an all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move on to our regular public comment section of the meeting. Mr. Clerk, will you tell people how they can participate in public comment, please?
Yes. So once again, if you'd like to speak during public comment, please click the raised hand button via Zoom and leave it raised, and we will allow you to speak for 5 minutes. Please state your full name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton. Thank you. Okay, we do have one individual with their hand up, Tina Chronopoulos. We'll allow them to speak now.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tina Chronopoulos. I live on Laurel Avenue in Sophia Resinitis district. I assume you can hear me? Yes, awesome. I wanted to talk to you this evening about a memorial vigil that took place this last Sunday. I was sad that I didn't see any of you there. It was very cold, so I grant you that. And I know some of you are very busy people doing other things, but I just wanted to tell you what the vigil was for Angela Cade, who was 60 years old, who died on the 19th of December, 2021. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, Angela was a well-known and beloved member of the Binghamton community. Smart, funny, and a natural athlete, Angela had fallen on hard times in recent years. Like many Binghamton residents, she faced housing insecurity and insufficient access to healthcare and treatment services. If you frequented the downtown Binghamton area, chances are you encountered Angela on one of her many journeys. Tragically, the system failed Angela, and the Binghamton community is left to grapple with the loss and our role in what was most certainly an avoidable outcome. In the aftermath, Angela's absence will be felt by many. Angela's life mattered, and she will be dearly missed. Angela was the daughter of James Benny Cade and Alberta Halston Cade. She is survived by her son Wayne Joseph Cade Oree, her siblings Sonia Wilkay, James Vincent Cade, Derek Cade, Myra Cade, Benita Cade, Linda Cade Miranda, Karen Cade, and Vilikia Cade, as well as a host of nieces, nephews, and cousins. The reason I'm reading this out to you is because I'm sure you've heard this before, and I'm here to tell you again that there's a real problem in Binghamton when it comes to affordable housing, when it comes to access to social services. And I am looking to you, I'm looking to Sophia Reseniti, my council person, whom I actually don't see on this call. I look to you, President Strawn, and I look to your colleagues on this council, and I'm asking you to make some moves to change the way business is done in the city when it comes to thinking about, not even doing anything for, but just thinking about those in our community who are least able to afford, quote unquote, affordable housing, access to healthcare and social services. At the vigil on Sunday, you've heard this before, folks were telling us who work directly with people who are in unstable housing or indeed don't have housing at all, that every given night in Binghamton, even in these temperatures, there are 300 people who are either sleeping in a shelter or outside. And why do people sleep outside is because the system assigns beds in motels that are often not on a bus line, that are only accessible by car to people who don't have anything, right? So I really would like to ask you, please, when you make decisions when it comes to finances, to take those who are disadvantaged into account. I find it unconscionable that money was spent on the tennis courts under Sophia Reseniti's watch, just to remind us all, money on tennis courts that have been renovated several times, that haven't actually been able to be used because of the COVID pandemic, right? So the kinds of decisions that you make when it comes to the way coding is enforced, when it comes to making public where coding enforcement happens on a regular basis, right? Like which landlords, which properties are actually out of code. These are all really important things. When you decide that you're gonna sell or fund the sale of a property that belongs
1 minute
to,
left.
thank you, that belongs to a slumlord like Isaac Anzarud, when you subsidize those kinds of transactions, you are, maybe you don't, your intention isn't to do this, but the impact is that you are, you're negatively impacting the people who are basically at the bottom of the way that our society thinks about them. So I encourage you to read up on Angela Cade. Apparently she was a gifted basketball player, an athlete. Her family moved to Binghamton in 1978. So really they've been here for a long time. And many of her families still live in the city. So, for the sake of Angela and folks in her family, as well as other folks who are houseless, I ask you to think about the kinds of decisions that you make and the impact that you can have that goes beyond folks who play golf or tennis in Rec Park. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. If there are any other members of the public that would like to speak during public comment, please click the raise hand button and leave it. Mr. President.
Yes.
Moment.
What's that? You're breaking up a little bit, Lee.
Sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, yes. No, we lost you again.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will end the comment. And I need to circle back and do one thing real quick. And before I do that, I just wanted to mention in reference to what Councilmember Friedman said the other day, I'm glad most of the times I'm going to try to be down there, but today I'm glad I'm seeing it from here as well. Just wanted to let everybody know it's hard for us to do anything with the tags themselves, but as you face the Zoom, on your left is our city clerk, Lee Rogers, and on the right is Councilman Joe Burns. So just wanted to let people know that I wasn't even sure which was which. So I'm glad that you mentioned that last meeting, and I will try to make sure we do that at the beginning of each work session meeting from here on out as we're in this format. We do need to set a public hearing for our next business meeting. Mr. Clerk, could you go ahead and read into the record what that public hearing will entail?
Yes. Can everybody hear me more clearly now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, perfect. So we do have one public hearing that's set for our next business meeting. The City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 22-18 entitled The Sale and Abandonment of Portions of Griswold Street. This public hearing will take place during the next regular City Council business meeting at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 22nd, 2022, virtually via Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will now move on to our legislative portion, and our first part is our preferred agenda. Would anybody like anything removed from the preferred agenda before we begin? Councilmember Friedman.
Thank you, President Strawn. I would like to please remove introductory ordinance 22-22 and introductory resolution 22-08 from the preferred agenda, please.
Okay. You have that, Mr. Clerk?
Yes.
Okay.
So those were ordinance 22-22 and resolution 22-08.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Friedman. We will remove those. Mr. Clerk, can you go through the rest of the preferred agenda as it's amended?
Yes. Okay, so our first item on the preferred agenda tonight is introductory ordinance 22-13, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 budget to transfer funds from the general fund balance for FEMA Court Street Flood Hazard Mitigation Project.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next we have introductory ordinance 22-14, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget to allocate ARPA funds for additional coronavirus expenses and supplies.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-15, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2021 fire budget to fund over budget line items.
Any questions or comments on 22-15? Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-16, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2021 signals combined shops and maintenance of roads budgets for overtime.
Okay, any questions or comments on 22-16? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, next we have introductory ordinance 22-17, considered in planning. And this is an ordinance authorizing an easement through 1 Avon Road for the installation of underground utilities to provide electrical service to 2 Stratford Place.
Any questions or comments on 2217? Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 22-21, considered in finance. And this is an ordinance to amend the 2021 sewer budget to transfer funds for NYS EFC ineligible DRB legal fees.
Okay, any questions or comments on 2221? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Next, we have introductory resolution 22-04, considered in planning. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with FEMA for Court Street Acquisitions Flood Hazard Mitigation Project.
Any questions or comments on 2204?
Okay, next we have introductory resolution 22-05, considered in finance. And this is a resolution to correct the 2022 tax rolls for various properties.
Any questions on 2205? Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-07, considered in planning. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into contracts with various agencies for the use of FY47 CDBG and ESG funds.
Any questions on 2207?
Okay, next we have introductory resolution 22-09, considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Streeter Associates for change order number 17 regarding the Binghamton Johnson City joint sewage treatment facilities.
Any questions on 2209? Okay, go ahead.
Next, we have introductory resolution 22-10, considered in finance. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Keystone Associates, Architects, Engineers, and Surveyors LLC for special inspections and material testing at the new fire station.
Questions on 2210? Okay, go ahead.
And our last item on the preferred agenda is introductory resolution 22-11, considered in finance. And this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to submit a grant application to the New York State Office of Community Renewal Community Development Block Grant COVID Response Program.
Okay, any questions on 2211? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the preferred agenda as amended.
Second,
Okay. Mr. Clerk, you do a roll call for us on the preferred agenda?
Yes. Okay, Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
President Strawn.
Aye.
Okay, that's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scaringi.
Okay. Excuse me. We will now go to our non-preferred agenda. Let's start with the 2 items that we pulled. So we will go to introductory ordinance 22-22. considered in finance. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 22-22, an ordinance approving a transfer from the parking ramps and lots reserve fund to the capital fund for the Water Street ramps for the cost of design and architectural work.
So that needs a second. And is there any discussion?
Second, sorry.
Council Member Friedman, go ahead.
Thank you, President Strawn. The reason why I pulled this from the preferred agenda is that I have been pretty vocal about my apprehension in the way that the redesign of the demolition, redesign, and reconstruction of the Water Street parking ramp has gone. I raised concerns I think it was in October, when we created the Water Street parking ramp local development corporation. And at that time, I had raised concerns that members of that group had already been named in the legislation. There were no listed term limits or appointment processes or anything like that. And so, from the beginning, this felt like a backroom deal. And so at the work session in January, we were told that the contract can be awarded to a design company without the need for a bid process because it's through the LDC, the Local Development Corporation. And for such a big project, I understand that the process is like logistically, that's, I guess, how it goes. But I don't love that there's no bid process for this. And I also have been apprehensive about the whole thing, the whole project, the designing it for luxury apartments on top. I just am worried that this is not being done in the most transparent way, and I am worried that it's not done in a way that is most mindful of what's best for our constituents. So I am hesitant about this. I don't feel totally comfortable, and I don't want to vote yes for something that feels weird to me. I don't want to support anything that's not done as transparently as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Friedman. Any other questions or comments on introductory ordinance 22-22? Okay, do we have a call to question on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Scanlon. Okay, Mr. Clerk, could you do a roll call for us?
Yes. Okay, so Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Nay.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
President Strawn.
Aye.
Okay, that is 5 ayes, 1 nay Friedman, 1 absent Scaringi.
Okay. We now have introductory resolution 2208 considered in planning. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory Resolution 22-08, a resolution to extend the end dates of fiscal year 46 CDBG capital projects to June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Councilmember Friedman.
Thank you, President Strawn. I have, out of an abundance of caution, abstained from all pieces of legislation that have to do with my employer. And though it's probably fine if I vote on this, I would like to request an abstention as this contract involves my employer.
A motion should be made to recuse on behalf of Councilmember Friedman by another member of council.
Motion's made to, oh, go ahead, Councilman Scanlon.
Make a motion to recuse Councilmember Friedman from Resolution 22-08.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a call to question on that introductory resolution 2208?
Call a question, Mr. President.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, could you roll call for us, please?
Yes. Okay. Councilman Scaringi is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Friedman abstains. Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Strawn.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes, 1 abstention Friedman, 1 absent Scaringi.
Okay, thank you. We will now move on to the rest of our non-preferred agenda. Introductory ordinance 22-20, considered in finance. And I believe this also has some secret motions as well. So Councilman Burns, can you walk us through that, please? Councilman Scanlon, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yes, Mr. President, I read the seeker motion first.
I think you read the legislation first, then the seekers,
Okay.
then come back to the legislation when we vote on it.
The title is fine.
I'm sorry, Ms. Sorkin.
The title of the ledge, followed by the seeker motion, followed by the ledge.
Okay, very good.
Sure.
Introductory ordinance 22-20. City Council needs to make a seeker motion for the 2022 bond ordinance. Introductory ordinance 22-20 entitled an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the cities, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $1,600,000. Appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $1,600,000 to finance said appropriation. I'll make a motion to declare a type 2 action under seeker for the following reasons. Nature of action. An ordinance authorizing issuance of $1,600,000 serial bonds to finance 2022 capital projects. The projects are for interior renovations, replacements, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of the existing structures or facilities, water and sewer connections, repaving existing highways not involved in addition of new travel lanes, street openings, and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance of existing utility facilities, various equipment needs, and public park upgrades. Findings: the City of Binghamton City Council has determined that the proposed action described above is a type 2 action based on 617.5 type 2C. Number 1, maintenance or repair involving no substantial change in the existing structure or facility. Number 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes. Useless such actions meets or exceed any of the thresholds in section 617.4 of this part. Number 4, repaving of existing highways not involving the addition of new travel lanes. Number 5, street openings and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance of existing utility facilities. 13, extension of utility distribution facilities, including gas, electric, telephone, cable, water, and sewer connections to render services in approved subdivisions or in connection with any action on this list. And number 21, minor temporary use of lanes having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment and no further environmental review is necessary. I need a second by that, please.
Second.
That's a roll call.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do a roll call on that seeker motion. Councilman Scarinci is absent. Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
I think you skipped me.
Sorry, Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
And President Strawn. Sorry, President Strawn, did you vote?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that's 1 absent with 6 ayes.
I rise and ask for unanimous consent for introductory ordinance 22-20 entitled an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in
Second.
enforce this. Excuse me?
Never mind. Sorry, I seconded it. I didn't think I have to.
Okay, no, I got a little more to go.
Yep.
Various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $1,600,000. Appropriately said amount for such purpose, authorizing the issuance of bonds of the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $1,600,000 to finance said appropriation.
Second.
Any comments on this? Do we have a call to question?
Question, please.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, could you roll call for us, please?
Yes. Okay, Councilman Scarinci is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Aye.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
President Strawn.
Aye.
That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scarinci.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We now move on. Thank you, Councilman Scanlon, for stepping in for Councilman Scarinci. Appreciate it. We move on to introductory resolution 2206, considered in planning. Councilman.
Introductory resolution 22-06. A resolution authorizing the mayor to extend a contract with the Police Athletic League to June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Questions or comments on introductory resolution 2206?
Mr. President, I have a comment, please.
Go ahead, Councilman Scanlon.
As I've stated before on here, I was a graduate of the Police Athletic League, the Pell Camp up on Stratmill Road. It was great memories, and you learned a lot as a kid, and great memories with a lot of friends. And it was useful to a lot of kids, and there was a lot of kids in attendance. I think the camp is thriving and doing well. Thanks from part to the city of Binghamton, so I fully support this. RL, thank you.
Thank you.
Call to question, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Resnetti. Mr. Clerk, do you take a roll call for us, please?
Yes. Councilman Scarinci is absent. Councilwoman Resnetti.
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman.
Nay.
Councilman Burns.
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon.
Aye.
Councilman Strawn.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5 ayes, 1 nay Friedman, 1 absent Scaringi.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We will now move right into our communication from each other council members. We will start the day with District 3 and Councilwoman Riley.
All right. Good evening, everyone. As luck would have it, I have a leaking pipe. So it is getting fixed during the meeting. That's why I moved. But,
Beautiful.
you know, that's what happens to everyone. So this is how we rebound. But I want to just take this time to not only recognize this is February, Black History Month. And so we should recognize all the contributions and all the successes of everyone that you know that looks and carries the culture of being Black. And so join me as we celebrate such through various activities throughout our community and various ways to recognize, again, some of the things we have done throughout history, like the light bulb and pipes and what have you. I also want to highlight that yesterday was National Black AIDS and HIV Awareness Month. It is important that we continue to highlight the prevalence of this disease. Although it has decreased tremendously, there are a number of increased cases, particularly in women. Women forget that they have a risk and have, depending on lifestyle and choices, are also susceptible to contracting this illness. Finally, I would like to thank each and every one of our neighbors and friends who joined me for the coat and winter supply drive that was held 2 weeks ago in memory, in contribution, an effort to contribute to our unhoused and under-resourced neighbors and students that live in Binghamton. As one of our colleagues shared earlier, it is a problem. And those of you that live in Binghamton and see our children walking from school, walking wherever they need to go, and they don't have on the necessary equipment to make it in the days we have endured. So we had an overwhelming response. We received a number of coats, gloves, socks, what have you, sweaters, so that we can, again, support those residents that are unhoused, as well as provide resources to the staff, students, and faculty at Binghamton and within Binghamton School District so that they can provide options and opportunities for students without letting everyone know. So I thank Tanya for sending out the information to all of the schools in the districts. And believe it or not, you cannot count how many families, how many counselors, and how many teachers have already reached out in an effort to obtain resources for their students in the building. So again, I thank my neighbors and friends for donating such wonderful materials. And I thank NOMA for housing most of the items that are being distributed, again, to our unhoused and our under-resourced neighbors and friends. If you'd like to contribute, please feel free to reach out to Brandy at NOMA so that we can continue to have a resource for those, again, that can't afford the luxuries that we are fortunate to have. That concludes my message. Thank you again.
Thank you, Councilwoman Riley. Councilmember Friedman, you're up.
Thank you, President Strawn. I wanted to, first of all, acknowledge what one of the callers, the memorial service that the caller mentioned for Angela Cade, who was unfortunately a victim of, you know, like the blurb said, arguably entirely preventable circumstances. And so this is, you know, it throws into sharp relief why I and a lot of members of the community feel so passionately about spending our money on low cost, high quality housing, because we see that once we house everyone in our community, a lot of the other things will follow. When people have stable housing, they have better health outcomes and better academic outcomes and better economic outcomes, right? When someone has a stable house, they're able to better hold down a job and contribute to the economy. And it's just, it's just the right thing to do. Housing is a human right. And when one of our community members dies directly due to lack of housing and lack of mental health services, it kind of reignites the fire under my feet to make sure that this is an absolute priority in where we spend our money, what kind of legislation we write and pass. My dream is that that never happens again, and that we can help combat the homelessness issue in our community, because they are our neighbors, they are our friends. It could happen to anybody, and we as a community owe it to our community, our fellow community members, to make sure that everybody's safe and warm. And the other thing I wanted to say is, for anyone who wasn't at our last work session, or maybe it was the work session prior, I had brought up the thought of referring to each other as council members rather than councilman or councilwoman. And I have to say that everyone has been super supportive of that. And I wanted to thank everyone for being so adaptable and, immediately making the switch to council member. For me personally, councilwoman is fine. Council member is fine. I just, working it like professionally, I'm a sex educator, so I think about gender a lot and how we work gender into a lot of things that don't necessarily have to be there. And anecdotally speaking, I have not, when I've met with other elected officials in other cities around the state, they tend to use council member as a gender neutral term for everybody. But so I don't seem that people, my fellow council members were not super gung-ho about making that transition, but I have to thank everybody who has immediately started referring to me as Council Member Friedman, which is fine, but also for the record, Councilwoman Friedman is also totally fine with me. Valentine's Day is coming up. Happy Valentine's Day to anybody who is celebrating that. And that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now go to District 5 and Councilman Burns.
Thank you. I'd like to commend Council Member Angela Riley on the winter clothing drive. I think that's wonderful. It makes me want to be a better council member and get out there and do something. She also mentioned Black History Month, and I'm sitting here, the only council member here and in the chambers, and it looks wonderful and everything, but it reminded me that I am friends with, and I did help elect the first Black person and Black woman on city council. She was the first Black person elected in anything in Broome County. And anyway, it feels good that I know her. And it's Black history of Binghamton. So anyway, in regards to the city, we had a water break over on the south side on Midwood Drive. And this was, and of course the water breaks happen because it gets so cold. So it was below zero. And some of the neighbors called me that water had been shut off. And so I went out to figure out what was going on. And I found the water break where the men were already there working, and they were jackhammering, and it was 5 degrees below zero, 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. This troop of workers is out there working through this. They worked all night long. When we got up in the morning, all our water was turned back on again. Ours was turned off as well. I didn't notice it until I got a call. But I just want to say that that's just so wonderful that they did such a great job. And, my hat is off. I would not want that job. And they are doing a great, great work. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. District 7, Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to tell my fellow council members, there was a gentleman who works for the Public Works Department named Alan McElhaney. And this happened a month ago. He was driving around in a city truck, and he noticed a gentleman a block and a half away from a city school who had a long gun tucked under his coat. He immediately called the Binghamton police, and they responded. The gentleman was less than forthcoming as why he was standing in a corner by the school. He didn't really say, but they arrested the guy. I just want to applaud Mr. McElhaney for obviously getting involved, because this is a scary situation, and who knows what this gentleman was up to. But thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll go to District 2 and Councilwoman Resinelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was great listening to all my colleagues' comments. And I echo all of what was said. We had a pretty yucky snowstorm this last weekend, whenever it was, a few days ago. All that ice that came down and all the damage that it did, and all the, I just wanted to say a big thank you to everybody who came together, and mostly neighbors, going out, knocking on doors and shoveling. And I mean, the ice was 2 inches thick in certain places. And it was just so nice to be outside and to see everybody coming together to help. That's what it's about. And so thank you to DPW and everybody who was out there. And yes, it is Valentine's weekend this weekend. Let's all just focus on being kind and celebrating any way that we can. That's about it. Stay warm, stay safe.
Thank you. Didn't have a lot. It was just to reiterate, I was going to say, similar to Councilwoman Resinelli, that storm last week was extraordinary. The transit, I've never seen that long of a transition between the rain and the snow. So I would just encourage people, now that it's warm and thawing and refreezing, just keep an eye on the sidewalks. And I'm most concerned about the sidewalks for people that need to use them to get to the store and stuff like that. So keep an eye around you and stay safe. If you see a neighbor's sidewalk that needs a little help, don't be afraid to help them out if we need to clear those as well. So, but thanks once again for the city departments working together, quarterbacked by DPW on that. So that with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn our meeting tonight.
Adjourn the meeting.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Second.
Take care. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay. All right. We're adjourned.